What? Why are there people here? I told you I'd try to. I told you I'd try to come on if I got far enough down the road. I had to cheat, and well, I say cheat. I had to do some stuff I didn't want to do. I had to glue the whole thing together. Not real happy about it, but we're gonna make it happen. What's going on, everybody? Schmidt, you were here last night, weren't you? Using a little air to kind of dry the terrain, the basing material a little quicker. It doesn't work as well on basing terrain as it does on the normal paint. So we'll see. I don't know what's going on. Who's Chris? I don't know. Never heard of him. Twisted. Oh my God. Black Friday and Cyber Monday week was insanity. Too much. We're very thankful. Didn't do a second stream. Nope. No, I came in today and got it put together, built the geishas, got it all prepped and ready to paint, and then was going to dry fit it all to figure out how I could run it in parts and pieces again. And the only thing I could really figure out is that I can leave one leg off and still get the geishas on, right? I built the geishas. The problem being that this damn scroll had to be put on, and the way I dry fit the scroll in with the spider to see if it was all lined up properly, and realized that there's no earthly way I could have painted the spider off of the stand and then because the scroll won't go, I couldn't attach the scroll and then put the spider on. The scroll has to go through its mandibles here. Yeah, it goes through, but those cross. I don't know if you can tell, but those mandibles cross over. There's no gap between them, right? So you can't pull them apart, it'll break. So it needed to have not had these on there, and then it would have been able to do. But I didn't want to break them off. They didn't want to come off, so I didn't mess with it. So I got this finagled in there by turning it sideways and squeezing it through, and then setting it all on there, and then was able to pop that thing into the right space and to get it to lay flat. But then I was not able to like paint the spider by itself if I do that, because that was going to rub a lot of paint off, right? If I painted the spider and then came in and tried to put this in there, because it scraped the plastic trying to take this from being vertical where it fits in the slit and then popping it sideways. It would have scraped all the paint off. So I was like, well, screw it. I got frustrated, chat. So I just glued it all together. So now we have a whole model that I'm going to have to figure out how to paint the whole damn thing with it together. That'll be its own challenge. Got the Errant of the Order of the Shield. I don't have that guy. I nearly did. For 100 Kingdoms. Neat model. Neat model. You got to find the pics. All right. I also know what we're going to paint it like. Right? I picked some stuff that I want to do this guy like. I'll do this. If you're spider queasy, don't look at it. That's what I want to paint it like, huh? How about that? How about them apples? Does that work? Does that work? How about them? I think that's good. And then I'm going to paint the other one like this. I have two of these. So the other one will be like this. Right? Hey, Brent, what's going on? So we'll do one of them in bright orange with kind of a reddish underbelly, and bright orange and yellows on the top with white hairs, and then a really crazy butt end, which will be more like there's the other shot of that guy, right? Which will be more like a what are they called? Orb weaver, like that, like an orb weaver's butt end. I'll do the butt end on one of them like that with the orange and the yellow everywhere else. I think it's called an orb weaver. Yeah, marbled orb weaver, which I like. So I'll do one of them like that, except it'll be brighter orange like that, right? I like that with the blue undertones on it. So we'll do it like this on the top, but with the blue undertones. And then the other one will be like that, also blue undertones, which I guess they're kind of the same now that I look at it. But this one has the orange and stuff, so we'll see. I like this guy. I like that guy. That's really nightmare fuel, by the way, that spider. All right, so there we go. Prime. Time to prime. Oh, I guess I gotta figure out the leg. Quit it. Oh no. What did I do? Right. Put a piece of poster tack in there and keep the other leg on so I can prime it. What say you? I'm gonna prime it in black. If I'd have been smart, I'd have done this with a rattle can earlier, but I'm not actually smart. So here we are. I did. I came in early. Well, I say early. I came in at like 11 a.m. this morning and started building this thing, or finished building this thing, right? Oh, come on, brush. You gotta be kidding me. I remember why I stopped using this brush. The needle always gets like stuck in the race. There we go. Yeah. It's unfortunate because a lot of its head gets covered up too with the geishas. So it's a big old model. I love that their monster models are so big. About 22 psi. Yeah, 22, 23. No real reason to go any higher than that. We spray fairly thin as a industry, I think, right? As miniature artists, you tend to use what is traditionally very thin paint. And so the higher PSI you go, the more spider webbing you get, the harder it is to control thin paint. So just always be careful. I know people that paint at much higher PSI than I do, and you can get used to and train yourself to anything. So again, whatever you feel comfortable at, go for. But I think learning lower PSI is better to learn at. And then once you get good at understanding the point at which your brush or brushes deliver paint and how they deliver paint at certain trigger pull spots, then you really don't mess around with PSI much. No need to. It's going to be a big old black spider here in a second. Highly deadly black tarantula. I seem especially motivated. I've been on a hobby kick, man. I tell everybody, and if you're around here long enough, you'll see it happen. It's rare, but not abusively uncommon. But there are times where I'm like, listen, I'm going to capture this thrill of hobbying that I've got right now, and we're going to roll with it. My brush is kind of spitting, so it's not really covering very well right now. So I'll probably need to clean it after we prime. I might be able to get through priming, we'll see. Yeah, sometimes, you know, whenever I get, like, find models that really inspire me to paint, it just rejuvenates me, right? I'm like, oh yeah, let's paint this damn thing. This model right here got me so interested in Conquest that now I've got 4 armies, right? Sitting in boxes waiting to be put together. So, might as well ride that wave, I would say. Get some stuff done. I woke up this morning and I said to Jen, I said, this is a perfect hobby weekend right here. The gang is going to come down. A bunch of the guys from work are going to come down and hobby tomorrow. Painting, building, hanging out. That's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm just going to try to keep the mojo going. Best I can. A catechin or two? Nah. I've never liked those models. They bent me real early because they were like the worst anatomy of any GW humanoid models for the longest time. They've got some newer characters, I think, that they released with the catechin vibe on them that I think are rad. The concept I think is really rad. The models have always sucked. From an anatomical perspective, right? They were like the big old beefy. They were bigger than Space Marines, right? Never made sense to me. And it just kind of bummed me out. So I didn't ever really get interested in them. I'm weird like that, right? I look at stuff and I'm like, if it has something that just doesn't vibe, right, then it typically will piss me off to the point where I'm not piss me off. I don't get mad about it, but it will dissuade me from finding any interest in them. Well, this is hard to see if you get a primer everywhere. There's a lot of surfaces on this thing. Yeah, I'm surprised that catechins haven't ever really been re-upped. You know, like I said, they've done a couple of character models, right? You know, when they redid the standard guard into Cadians, I think that was kind of all they were willing to do. And then they did the Death Korps of Krieg stuff, and that's cool. I really used to love Imperial Guard when you had lots of choices, right? When you had the different worlds that you could use them from. Ice World, right? The ones that were like the Brits in India. I get that that's a lot of SKUs for one army, so you can't really do that all the time. Totally understand from a business standpoint, but it'd be cooler if you did. It would be cooler if you did. God, model, you have a lot of freaking surface area. This is going to eat tons of primer. I'm going to see if I can't rinse this a little bit and get it to spray better. Never cared for the catechins, even if they ever did Mordian or Praetorians in plastic, it would bankrupt me. That's the thing, right? Like the Mordian Iron Guard and stuff like that were really good. And that stuff I loved. With the new stuff that they can do, the catechins would be amazing nowadays. But I get why they don't. Like I said, you can't have that many models for one army. They used to all play a little different, right? They were like the chapters for Imperial Guard. You know, you had all the different way that they got bonuses and stuff, but it wasn't different enough for you to have multiple versions of it, I don't think. Having divisions of catechins, you know, and then having divisions of Mordian and Cadian and all that stuff would be cool, but again, I don't think it would support the model range being that big long term. You have 20 units to paint. Of what? Somebody asking about stripping models. I never strip models. I just paint over them. But I don't have any models that are like, you know, clogged with old enamel paints and a real pain in the ass either. If you have models that are super clogged, then you probably want to strip them because the detail will come back. Tempestus Accolons. Oh, yeah, the Tempestus stuff was good, too. Those used to be called Stormtroopers, right? They took the Imperial Guard Stormtroopers and turned them into the whatever those things are called, right? Tempestus Scions and stuff. that Torox. Is that what they call it? The Torox thing that they gave him? That absolute beast of a vehicle that's so funny. It just doesn't look good. I really didn't like that thing. Still speckling a lot. This nozzle really needs to be cleaned. Not applying the paint very well. But for primer layer, it's fine. This will not do our colors. I'll have to clean it better before we start adding color on it. But that'll give the primer a little bit of time to set up while I do that. I'm only going to go to about 5:30 or 6. I have to go home. Jen and I have dinner reservations tonight. Gonna go get some Italian food. And anytime you're priming, make sure you just feather the primer on there. You see, I'm not really trying to turn it solid black in the past. I'm just getting black on everything, dusting it, I call this. Make sure you get paint on all the surfaces, but you're not trying to make it opaque with the primer. Let the paint just dust on there and give it a little bit of tooth. And then come back and fill in all the opacity and darken it up. Aftermarket wheels for the Torox. Yeah. It just looks dumb. A period of GW's modeling that they just had bad designs, especially with vehicles there for a while. When there's so much good material out there as base material to guide you and you choose to do something like that, it's pretty weird. Oh my God, I may not be done priming this by 5:30 or 6. Holy crap-a-moly. Every time I turn this model a new direction, there's more crap I missed. Ooh. At least the new tank is cool, albeit it's missing the armor underneath it. Oh yeah, didn't somebody make like a panel for the underneath of that? You're talking about the Rogel Dorn, right? Is there a company out there that makes like a resin or 3D printed panel to go underneath it because it just has a big hole in the bottom? I mean, I get it. GW's trying to cut costs, and they're like, nobody needs the bottom of the tank. But that's really cheap. I agree. I think they tend to make those decisions based on what is technically right and never think about the way people will perceive the action. right? That the person that bought it will be like, wow, why did you charge me so much for a tank you can't even put all the parts in the box for? Either that or they do think of that and they just don't care. I'm not ready to say that companies don't care. I know a lot of people take that tack. They're just like, it's big corporations, they don't care. I want to believe people care. I just don't think they think it through. Do I give people too much credit? Is that my problem? That's probably my problem, huh? Holy primer moly. The next one of these we build, I'm doing with the rattle can. And then just filling in the gaps with the airbrush. It's going to ruin my hand here. Now that I've got a pretty good dusting coat on everything, I'll go back and fill it in. Hit it pretty heavy for what would be this third coat. Thing's ghoulish. It's a great model. Like, absolutely great model. Especially when you get the primer on it. When it stops being gray plastic and it starts being dark and ugly. This thing's amazing. I'm out of primer again. Give your son one of his Christmas gifts early. What'd you give him? Pack of Dauntless brush. Nice. Oh, he got excited. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. That's awesome. What a great feeling, right? Yeah, these are the same ones you use. It's empowering, I think, right? Kids aren't dumb. Oh, no, 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 no. No, no, no. No, no, no. I don't want you to fall off. Please don't fall off. The only problem with doing stuff like this where you are poster tacking a piece on, you have to grab the model all crazy to get it to stay. Rub paint off of everything. Need to figure out how to hold this to get these legs. God. Finding the angle is rough. just need to make sure that nothing's like bright gray. If I can get everything with black, we're good. I think that everybody who sculpts should have to take painting classes at a high level so they understand what their sculpt means for artists to paint. That's what I think. Who's with me? Because you can tell a lot of sculptors don't paint. Just with how they make stuff. Not gonna lie, they make cool stuff. But if it's damn near unpaintable, then what's the purpose? There are two kinds of sculptors, those who paint and those who try to flex on other sculptors. Yes. Yes. Yep. Well, you know, there's a lot of sculptors in the digital realm right now who go to school, and the mainstay of sculpting in school is one of two things. It is for industrial parts manufacturing, right? Or for video games and digital graphics. And I know a lot of sculptors who come from the digital video game world who can sculpt some of the most amazing stuff in the world, but you can't build it. It won't print and survive handling. And you got to teach those people, okay, here's the deal. I get it. This looks rad. Great job. But, you know, that's going to break every single time. When we did the stuff for the Mother Lovin' Paint Party back in 2021, right? Great sculptor, Mini Monster Mayhem, did all of our stuff. But he's a video game guy. He'd done stuff in the video game world and hadn't really done a lot for physicalized things. And he had done some really cool models for his Patreon that people were downloading STLs, but they weren't printing them, I guarantee, because he didn't even support them. Right? You got unsupported models, and then you go to support them, and I guarantee people were buying them, and they were cheap, but they weren't printing them out. And when they were printing them out, it was just because they were, you know, uber hobbyists being able to do it, because those models, most of them were to print. So when we went in, we had to, you know, help him out and say, listen, here's the things you got to do. Here's the way you got to look at this. You have to be able to make sure these things can not only print, but make sure that the sizing is correct for things like swords, and unfortunately you just can't do everything at real scale, right? True scale, whatever you want to call it. Not everything can be done to where the sword is the right size versus the hand. You know, look at all the GW stuff and how they do it. You just can't. Some stuff has to be thicker than real life because there's no way to make it last in the real physical world. People walking around with a model. Gaming with it, pushing it around on a table, picking it up, putting it down, and then, of course, painting it. Holy, man, I don't think I'm ever going to get to be able to do some of these areas. Note to self, not a good model for painting for contests. I would have to do it in multiple subsections if I was going to do this for real. I say for real. I am painting it for real. You know what I mean. All right, is that good enough? Feels good enough? Maybe good enough? I don't know. I'm going to say that's good enough. And we'll go with yes. If it's not, hopefully the areas I didn't get very well are you can't see either. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Drop it into a bucket of primer and let it drip dry. You are a brave soul. All right. I can look what I did, chat. Look what I did. I can zoom. Chris is going to be mad. I figured out how to zoom on my own. I can't focus, but as long as I keep the focus to where it was good anyway, it doesn't change, so that's all right. But I can zoom. I have the power. These Geisha models are really cool. I was cursing. It's a good thing I did not turn the stream on when I was building these. They have some dumb parts. I'm not gonna lie. They're neat, really neat. But they had some, like, I said some very cross words at these models. Not gonna lie. For a minute, I was like, I wonder how this model would look without these on it. Because these are horrible. Certain parts of them just were like, yeah, you guys don't like me, do you? You fully cussed at him? Yeah, oh my god. So what kind of makeup will they have? I don't know. We'll do the white face with the blush, right? The magenta and red blush. Isn't that the way it's supposed to be done? I'll do them fairly traditional. When I think Geisha, it's that overly powdered white, right? Where you don't even get any flesh tone to it unless they sweat or something like that, right? And then red lips. Do they do any other colors on them? I'll get some reference material and see. I also don't know anything about this particular Urogamo from a lore perspective. Is there anything that they do? Do they have the same coloring as the spider? You know, are they? I've always thought of these maidens on the spider as being like an anglerfish, like they're fake to lure people in. They're spirits, so they could be whatever we want them to be, right? All right, cool. The Geisha prime lots quicker than the spider, turns out. Black teeth? I think so, right? All their mouths are closed, except for the one who is playing the flute, and the flute is glued to her lips, so you can't see. Yeah, their mouths are all closed. Negative. You had to resculpt teeth on what? Rocco, recipe for non-metallic metal steel. Real basic one is Payne's Gray and bright pale yellow or pale yellow and white blue, or just Payne's Gray and white blue. You can do that too. But I like the Payne's Gray with the bright pale yellow or pale yellow. You mix those to get your main coloring going. And then as you get up to your brightest highlight, you switch over to the white blue. Works a champ. 2 or 3 colors is all you need for steel. 2 or 3 colors is really all you need for anything, but you can then put other nuanced colors into it for sure. Right? So you could start doing like environmental colors on it and some greens and yellows and browns and things like that if you want to make it to where it looks like it's kind of reflecting in the environment and all that. But I generally start with blue, black, or Payne's Gray, and then get a bright color like bright pale yellow or white blue and go to town. Easy peasy. The leg's going to continually fall off, so sure I'll rub primer and crap off of it the whole time we're doing this. But I think I'm pretty good. I think that's okay. All right, I'm going to clean the airbrush because I don't feel comfortable doing color through it the way it's sputtering right now. And not really sputtering, but it's spotting. It's got some turbulence. Paint's not coming out very cleanly. Can't tell on the primer coat, and if the primer coat's a little messy, you'll never know because it's black. I'm going to clean it. I'm going to clean it, chat. I'm going to take my hat off, too. Ha! Ha! Deal with it. Do like the spider's eyes on the geishas. I've seen lots of spider-ish things in Japanese, mythological demon world. Some women that have like spider eyes. I don't know where they all tie together. Are they all, iterations on a theme, or are they different kinds of demons? I don't care if I stay true to any kind of, mythological truth or anything like that. I just want it to look cool. So I like the idea, like where the clothes come up off of the spider's thorax and abdomen, where they touch the spider, that maybe the color bleeds into the fabric and then changes into the fabric, or changes into the colors we choose for the fabric. I don't know if I want to do it super monochromatic. I'm going to do these bright ass colors on the spider, so we'll pick something that works well with that. Payne's Gray undercoat for what? What are we talking about? Double T. For steel? Or on this thing? I think I'm going to do dark blue on this thing, and then ultramarine over the black, very, very thin, to build up the blue undertones for the spider. Paint the whole thing that way, and then drop some white on it, and then layer over the white with the orange and then the yellow is my goal. If you were here at the beginning and saw what I'm doing with the spider. Yeah, I'll do it with dark blue. I want more blue to it, not Payne's Gray. Payne's Gray is a little too black, too blackish. It's really dark and a great shadow, but I want the dark blue. I want it to be blue. We're doing this. I like that. So that blue is like dark blue and ultramarine over the dark blue. So I am much excited. That's what we will do. There is a world also where I could, I could zenithal the whole thing and show you guys the special sauce blue. We could do special sauce blue over a zenithal. You want me to do that? See how that does? Want to play? Let's play, chat. Let's play, chat. Matter of fact, I have another box here. I have a red. Yeah, we can do that. Give me some test time and do the models at the same time. I don't have a problem with that. I've been sneaking the special sauce in on just about every model we've been doing. Hell, we did the Trench Crusade model completely with it. There's a freaking huge note in here, too. Okay. So we have a purple, medium, the black. So the black could be fun. The purple doesn't help me. The crimson is cool. So we'll just use the blue from the other ones. That's fine. It's a fine. We'll do that. I am going to clean the airbrush a bit more, though. Hit it with boss sauce. I like that. Boss sauce. Go ahead and clean the nozzle a bit. I think that's where my biggest problem is on this thing. Ah. Avian, you're jumping up down rabbit holes on Japanese makeup and spider. I don't pay attention. I do what I want. I don't care. You're not going to guide me. You might give me some good info, but I ain't worried about it. Oh, that's way out of whack right there. That's a problem. That's a problem. Where's my... That alone might be what was causing it. You guys won't be able to tell. Maybe you will. This won't focus probably, but you can maybe see that that's out around. It has a big chunk of black over here on this side. So always keep your nozzle cover clean. Because if it doesn't have the opening perfectly round, then air will exit and in a turbulent or cause more turbulence exiting the front of the machine. And then you're kind of stuck with fluttering air at the tip of the needle more so than normal. And it'll cause the paint to spatter in a dot, like spray in a dot pattern. I'm gonna get in here, and this is my old needle, so don't freak out. But I will do this, and I will take an old needle that's bent, not usable anymore, and I will gently push it along the sidewall of the nozzle and kind of scrape, and then push any buildup out that way. Doesn't look like I have any, though. I can see right through that thing. Maybe it's a fine. Maybe it's a fine. Maybe we don't have a problem. Now you can resist and wait for a problem. This one was great to build the spider body. And the, you know, all the only problem really was the body on one of the geishas was a pain in the butt because it didn't have anything to key it. So when you put the two halves together, it kept skating along and wouldn't adhere to itself. It didn't slot in very nice. So it just kept banging around the main geisha's body. The two halves go together, and you can tell they line up really nice, but they don't have anything to hold them together. So when you put the glue on it, you put them together, it would just kind of go and move, and it wouldn't lock onto itself. That's a problem. So I cursed on that, and then I cursed on the individual hands they have for the guitar. I don't know what it's called. Somebody told me what it's called, and I forgot already. But for the guitar and the flute girl, their hands are all individual, and so you have arms that have to line up, then you have two individual hands, and then like the instrument has to go in between it. And if you've ever put together a model that has two arms and a rifle, like Space Marines, you know that sometimes that gets to be a real pain in the butt, right? Like sometimes it's like, nah, that didn't go together very well. The rifle doesn't line up in the arms and all that stuff. So this was just one of those situations where this minuscule flute didn't line up and want to go in the hands correctly. So it pissed me off. What is going on? I remember this brush having a problem. Like I think it needs to have a rear seal replaced. Yeah, see the damn needle doesn't slide in the chamber correctly. Maybe we can make it work. Like the seal's all gummed up or something. All right, so I'm thinking we'll just do white primer. What's your default recommendation for Pro Acrylic paint set? You're using mostly Vallejo, but you want to check out your products. The base set and expansion set 1 are the sets that I generally tell people to go pick up if you're looking to get into the line, because they give you a good all-around, it's 36 colors at that point, 24 in the base set, another 12 in expansion set 1. So it'll give you 36 colors that run the gamut of all of our main best sellers, and a bunch of really great tints, tones, and shades. So that's a great way to do it. But as someone has mentioned there in chat, you know, you can also go on the website, and when you look at the paints, as soon as you get to 8 or more paints in your cart, you get 10% off. And that's always true. That's not a special during the holidays or something like that. That's always the case. Being able to build your own set is really, really nice. Just get in there and put together colors that you need for an army you're doing or anything like that, and all of a sudden you're able to pick whatever you want. Just quick zenithal on those. I like that. Spooter. I think if those guys are going like that, that we'll do. I mean, Spooter just kind of gets, it's huge, so it's not like a directional light doesn't really do much. So I'm just going to move it from like the 10 o'clock side as much as I can to start here. Oh, sorry. I'm backed in real close, aren't I? How about that? I'm just picking to kind of brighten from the 10 o'clock side rather than the 2 o'clock side. So I will feather a lot of brightness on there. Out of paint already. Ah! That was horrible. Oh, I did hit it. Dadgummit. I don't know why I'm putting my hand like this. It just feels like what I should do. Because this model's so big, I'm not really accomplishing anything, I don't think. And I will build up white kind of up around the dome of the abdomen there, and then let it feather off as it goes down the sides and such. Okay. So that'll give us a pretty abrupt light right there because I only sprayed from this direction. Right, so that gives us a very dramatic light where this side's all dark. I don't want that, right? So I will turn it this way as well and kind of spray from up here back, but I'll pull the airbrush back a bunch to where the airbrush is back here, you know, 6 to 8 inches away, kind of. So it'll still lightly dust everything, but give us some gray across the model. Not screw up and imbalance it too bad, but then I'm going to cheat and come in here and brighten the archway a bit, even on this. Just feather the trigger. Try to get the scroll a little bit too. A lot of parts on this guy that cover up other parts. So while you could say that, yeah, all those legs are going to cause a lot of shadow across the body, if you're not careful, you wind up with no color, right? Because you'll have too many dark parts on such a large model. So you want to get in and kind of fake it. Like, see the inside of these legs over here are really kept from brightening up because of the legs themselves casting shadow. So I want to get a little bit of gray down in there. I can kind of come in and brighten that. We did that over here, so that's why it's important. I can kind of come in and backfill where I need to make sure I get detail everywhere. We can add back a bunch with the brush, but anything you can do with the airbrush at the beginning is worthwhile. And that's looking pretty good. Not too shabby. Now I think, we could airbrush. What do we think? We could do the blue through the airbrush. We haven't shown it through the airbrush yet. Yeah? Do the blue through the airbrush. Special sauce through the airbrush. I like it. Let's do it. Everybody's airbrush. Yeah, I was just spraying with white primer. And apologize, everybody. If you're in here asking questions, remember, I don't have a producer when I stream by myself, so I'm really horrible with chat. Hopefully the chatters in there will help me out, answer questions. At least for those of you that have been around for a while, please, if somebody asks a question, you know I'm not paying attention to it, just tell them, hey, he'll get to it, keep retyping it, if you would, please. I'm here just for fun today. I've been on a hobby, what do you call it? A hobby crusade. I like that. I'm on a hobby crusade lately. I am just absolutely building and painting up a storm. Loving every minute of it. And just wanting to keep that energy going. So I like to turn on the stream when I'm up here. I do have a good book lately, but I've been enjoying streaming while doing my personal hobby time. So I hope you guys don't mind that it's a little less formal. A little less well put together when I do it this way. Paint Licker's never watched a stream before. Brand new. Well, welcome, Paint Licker. Glad you found us. Bastard. The hobby bug, yes. I'm on a hobby crusade. I got bit by the hobby spider. Super duper John. Oh. You're gonna make my hats not fit. Careful. All right, I'm gonna call that clean. I don't know if it is or not. The white sprayed a lot better than the black, so we're good there. This is the first time I'm running the secret sauce through the airbrush, this version of secret sauce through the airbrush, so cross your fingers, chat. Here we go. I'm gonna mix some in a cup. I don't think I want it at full volume. I think I want to thin it down a little bit, but not much. The blue is really intense. There's a world where we could brush it on, but I'm gonna go airbrush. We're gonna give it a shot. Give it a little shot. Chat. Just gonna pour it in here. No, I'm not. That's catastrophe waiting to happen. I'm gonna grab some of these pipettes. We'll put that over there. Do some agua. Actually, no, I don't. Let's do some of the medium in it, actually. Right? If we're gonna play, let's play. And I don't necessarily need super low viscosity here. I'm thinking more in terms of just lowering opacity. I do want it to run a little bit more because through the airbrush, it's not going to flow like it does off the brush. Speed paints just don't do that, right? Nothing I do is going to change the fact that it's not going to run into the crevices the same way, but that's not what we're looking for here. I'm looking for actually tinting the whole surface. So I'm just going to pour this because I don't have another. There we go. A little bit of medium, kind of like 1-to-1 paint to medium, and then I'll just give it a spritz of water. I don't have to do like I did with the dark green brown when I did the Drake. I just used like 2 or 3-to-1 water to color, and we can keep away from having to do that here, and not take away so much of our opacity that way, and make it less viscous because the medium does a better job of keeping it feeling like it flows better. And I'll just pour that in here. You can go. Set the remainder off to the side. Oh, I forgot that leg wasn't attached. Silly Jason. Make sure it's stuck in there pretty good. That leg has to come off when we're done because the geishas won't go on without it being attached, or with it being attached. All right, here we go. Holy mackerel, look at that. Sprays like a dream. I run out. It's hard to. I need to put a big fat cork underneath it. Yeah, with that zenithal and doing a very thin, lower opacity coat over the top, you're going to get that really bright, vibrant, like almost fluorescent blue off of it on the first go round, right? And then we'll layer it up and we'll get darker and darker as we go if we need to. But first pass, my goal is just to get good base of color on. Do the blue on the whole model, not just the zenithal areas. I want the whole thing black and all. There's a really nice blend between the light and the dark areas, which it is. That's pretty amazing. That's really bright. Holy crap. I like that a lot. We want to, this almost, you know, I thought we'd do ultramarine, right? Because it's more purpley, right? So I've got the blue I need. Now I need kind of a purpley overtone on that. I'm wondering if I could just take the purple, right? Do the purple over the blue and just layer it back and forth. Maybe we just have fun with it and see what we can do. I kind of like that. Like maybe we do this, maybe we layer purple over it, and then maybe we zenithal it real quick again to brighten it up on the high spots, hit it with the blue again so it's bright blue over the purple, but the purple is not just purple, it's purple with blue. I like that. Let's try that. Let me make sure I got all the areas I want blue at least. I think we're pretty good. I think we're pretty good. Yeah, let's play. Chat, let's play. I don't have to clean the airbrush even. I'm just going to take some purple. We'll leave the blue sitting in the airbrush. I'm going to take some of the purple, but I have I should have a purple one. I want the more blue one. I don't have a Payne's Gray version of the special sauce. I'm just going to do the purple special sauce. Again, just with some of the medium. About 1-to-1 medium and purple. And then a little more water in this, just because I don't want this to be as intense. And this is all these are super intense colors. So I'm going to add a little bit more water to that. If I'd have been thinking, we could have just done this and just mixed it all up, right? And created the color we want. But I'm not a smart man. This will look good over the blue, though. I'm going to put it in the airbrush with the remainder of the blue. Well, there's no blue left in there, but there's blue caked in the airbrush, right? So this will loosen that up, and I'll get kind of a blended color at first, probably. We're just playing. See what happens. I'm not afraid. This is oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. What are you talking about? Oh, yeah. Ultramarine. Look at that. Ta-da! It's almost like I know what I'm doing. Who knew, chat? I'll go heavier in the shadows with it. Oh, already gone. It sprays quick. Oh yeah, look at that, where I get the purple going heavy duty in the shadows is nice. Oh, that's too good. Now that gets me where we want to be, right? Look at that. Look at them apples. That's pretty good. I don't even think we have to do much more, right? That blue is perfect. Purple, that was the answer. These paints work absolutely amazing. There's no stain lines or anything that you get from them when airbrushing like this. So just being able to throw it at the model and get the blends damn near perfect the first time, that's pretty crazy. Mike Disney, what's going on, brother? Curious why you don't paint the spider without its base, Choker. I would have, but this model goes together in a very crazy assembly. This piece of paper, or this scroll work, goes through the mandibles on the face. It has you glue the mandibles on first. In order to get the scroll through the mandibles, you have to turn it sideways, wiggle it through, and it scratches the mandibles a ton, and then you have to force it and rotate it 90 degrees. Bang. And it would scrape all the paint off the mandibles. But this has to go in last, because it connects to the base and it connects to this thing back here, right? Because there's a scroll that comes out, it's weaving the scroll, right? And so the scroll attaches back here where it has to go under that. So in order to get it under that, it has to go in at an angle like this through the archway, right? Because it has to come through the archway over on this side and then slide underneath the other part of the scroll. And it was just so convoluted. Could I have done it? Yes. Was I sick of thinking about it? Yes. So did I say I was just going to do it like this? Yes. Ta-da, that's where we're at. Right? That's where we're at. So yeah, I was done with it. I was like, nope, I'm not doing this anymore. This is absolute idiocy. So yeah, that's why. I don't think I need to hit it with white. I think I'm fine with it like this. I think we get a smattering of like this natural burst of bright blue in and amongst the purpley color. And I think this works really, really well. That was really quick. Like, that was super quick to get that kind of an effect on there. And then now we have to do all of the spots where we want the orange and the yellow. So that does need to be white, right? And I think I have to paint that. That's going to be a struggle. I could maybe airbrush it, right? On this is a big tarantula or something, right? And it's very hairy. Our model is not hairy. So all of the hairs are the color on here, right? Like you've got this texture that's all striations of hair or texture or whatever, right? We don't have that. So this looks very defined, right? Because when you macro it in, and this could be AI, I don't know what this is, right? I don't know if this is an actual photo or if this has been touched up in Photoshop or something, but you know, when you look at it, you can see at that macro level, all the hairs, they're very defined. There's no blurring, right? Unless it's a camera blurring focus. So the airbrush won't do that, right? The airbrush will be blurry. So if I use the airbrush to do the white on here, I can, and then we could do the coloring over that, and then I could touch it up, I guess, with the brush. Maybe that's the way to try to do it. Or I just paint it on. I paint the white on, and then we paint the colors over the top of the white. Right? Because I could just kind of roughly paint the white on to areas and maybe be just as fast as not. With his butt. Yeah. Shooby-dooby-dooby-dooby-dooby-dooby. I love the wily hairs. The wily hairs are like a pale yellow color. Yeah, I think we got to paint them. I think we have to hand paint them. I do believe. I don't think we have a choice. So we're out of paint. Let me clean the airbrush before I make uno hugo mistako and don't clean the airbrush. Yeah, right. Shinjo, I'm doing the Geisha on this one, and then I have another one that'll do the Mahatsu. We'll do this one, and then or maybe this is the Mahatsu and the other one's the Geisha. I don't know. I have two, so I'll build one with a parasol and one without. I'm running two of these and a daimyo in my list. I don't know if that's any good or not. I'm not doing this for good. I'm doing this for rule of cool. The more spiders you can have, the better. And then I have one no yokai, and that's the only other huge monster that I have, right? They kicked your behind? All right, awesome. I've never played. I was looking across the internet, I don't know, as I do, and a couple weeks back, and I saw this model. This one, right? The Jiromugo, or Jirogo, whatever it is. And I was like, oh my God, that's an amazing model, right? With the geisha on it and the size and everything. I was like, what is that model? And it said Conquest. And I go, that can't be right. I've never been a fan of Conquest models. When they first came out, I thought that the details on them were too soft. The artwork for the game was rad. The story was rad. I never played the game. Well, I got a demo game when it first was ever done. Maybe it was at Adepticon one year or something like that. And like 5 years ago. And And then I was like, yeah, but the models just don't appeal to me. There was nothing that Rula cooled it for me out of the whole list, right? I didn't like the spires. I didn't like the softness of them. That was kind of weird. They didn't have any details that made sense to me. The dwarves I didn't really like. And then the stuff that they had that was kind of the Greco-Roman theme doesn't really appeal to me. You know, the Spartans and things like that, city-states and whatever. But over the years, I just didn't pay a lot of attention to it. And now, finding this model, it made me go back and look at the whole line and be like, oh, well, what has Conquest been doing if they have this that looks so awesome, right? We've got, you know, the plastics have always been good. Well, I say good. I mean, I guess the old plastics weren't great, but doing hard plastic is always great. But seeing these, I was like, holy crap, man, they got good detail. And so I went back and looked, and now I have 4 armies. So there you go. Never give up, chat. Never give up. If you see something, you're like, man, that looks cool. I wish there was something that made me want to paint it. Always go back and check, because in a year or so, they might have stuff too. They might have better stuff. Yeah, we started with, after I got the bug, I went locally and picked up a dwarf box set. And we've been painting the Ironclad Drake up, just in between stuff. So I've been having fun with that. I'm building all the big models because that's what I enjoy painting. So I'm doing. I've gone nuts, right? I've got Sorcerer Kings, the Yokai, right? The Dwegom and 100 Kingdoms now. The Weavers, I kind of like the models. The when they get the newer ones out, I might pick Weavers up too. It depends. I have so much to build, and I hate building, so this is going to take me absolutely for a bajillion years to do this. So, nah. This is going to take me forever to do this. I'm going to use white primer on this. Am I? There's a world where I could use white primer here rather than my titanium white, since I'm going to be using a lot. Let's see if it gives me the opacity I need off the brush for first, though. The idea here is it's all just lines, right? It's over here. We're which Grex? It's the TG is the one I've been using. Joshua, what's going on? We're doing this. I said I'd go home last night and look for spiders, and that's what I'm doing. So we're doing this. What the hell? Get off my spider. Yeah, so we're doing this. I think I nailed the blue with the secret sauce paints. Now I got to set up the white. I'm going to use a lot of the secret sauce paints. I'm going to keep on with the trend of testing stuff, and we're just going to see what I get, right? So all of this is kind of on the legs. I just need to have this kind of thing going on, right? Just do it messy, right? Because it's not like perfect racing stripes or anything. That'll help me go fast. And then as it gets up to the larger segments, it starts to be more like a crown shape, right? So it has like this kind of thing going on. Yeah, and just big chonky brush strokes. Yeah, it's good. I'm just got to kind of do the same thing on this leg in here. I think it's going to be hard to get to, but we'll make it work. Yeah, so now I'm all in on this stuff, and I plan on playing. There's some other guys here at the store that have some. Another guy here, Grant's got 100 Kingdoms, so we'll have some fun. We've got a group hobby day going on tomorrow, where a lot of the guys are coming down to shop to work on models. I'll be doing this, and we'll see what everybody else is doing. I think a bunch of people are working on their 30K stuff. Should we do one leg, test it out, and like do the whole leg all the way through, and then do the other ones? So we make sure this works before I spend all this time doing all the legs. Would that be prudent? Maybe I should do one leg. I never do that, but I'm always like, that might be a better idea, Jason. Let's do that. Let's do one leg and see what it turns out like. I think one leg is the right call. Before we get too crazy here, chat, should I maybe do just one leg and see how this works? Orange. I need orange. I think I'm just going to do orange and yellow. I'm not going to do red. It gets pretty reddish, but I can mess with that. We'll just do orange. Vile Needs is like, don't be a bee. Full send, do the whole damn thing. Josh, you're literally waiting on oils to dry. Wow. I like acrylics. All right, I think this area down here is probably ready to go. Let me pull some of this out of here. Oh boy, that's good. That's really good, Chad. Pop in closer for you here. You can have my brushstrokes go outside the white and go into the blue, and it's going to give me that kind of, again, that weird natural randomness to it. I'm not going to get too crazy on these big ones because where there's brightness, I don't want as much overlap of the orange and the blue. When I go into the shadow, it looks really cool. It kind of drives a darker, almost blackish trim around the outside, which is neat. This is a paint that doesn't exist yet. This is what we're calling in stream terms our special sauce. This is our answer to contrast paint. It will be introduced at Adepticon this year, and it is amazeballs. Super vivid colors. This is the just plain orange version of it. A single pigment orange. It acts as a contrast / speed paint and just gives you tremendous vibrancy. And as you can see, really good control with it when I want it. You know, it will just do the contrast thing, and I could paint a Space Marine with this and get a bright orange Space Marine with lots of cool contrast in it. Or I can just paint it over these areas like I'm doing here and have it be a neat filter for me. Yeah, it stays in place tremendously, right? I mean, I'm painting it, it's not gooping up or going anywhere. I'm actually doing it in like textured brush strokes, although I don't think that'll really show up, but I'm testing it out. You know, I'm not trying to be super uh, precise with my layer. I'm using big swoopy brush strokes, kind of like I did the white. Again, because spider nature's not into right angles and perfectly put together crap. So if I have a little bit of texture to it, I feel like maybe that gives me a little bit more of the sense of realism, maybe. I don't know. I'm looking at a, you know, what is this, a 20-foot tall spider? I don't think realism is my biggest worry here, but you get my drift. That worked really good. Ah, my leg's falling. I'm just going to take that off until I need it on. That one's blue tacked on there. I should probably take that blue tack off or it'll never glue back in there, huh? All right. Then we take the white again. The napkins aren't right. And how does it work? Kind of like the weird. The yellow's at like the front. I guess we'll call it like. Like fire. Paint like fire. like fire. It's still a little bit wet. Blending with the orange underneath it, so we'll just have to overload it with white. Well, you see, this is a real easy thing to do to create neat patterns or, textures and things. You can do kind of messy application at the end of the day and get really neat things in natural objects, gigantic spiders being one of them, but, you can imagine like trees or even like giant skin or something like that, where you wanted to do war paint. This would allow you to do cool textures and symbols and things like that. I'm just going off of a Google picture, and our spider doesn't have hair, but the Google picture is hairy, and it creates some really neat texture to the yellow and orange interaction. So I'm kind of faking it here. It already looks cool just with white. The orange is the base, and then we do the yellow over it, and the yellow and the orange mix together, and you get a variation. You'll see when we do the yellow. We'll put the yellow all over the top of all the orange too, most likely. Maybe just not out at the very edges or something, right? And the idea being that we can get the yellow and the orange to mix this way, but the yellow will never be a vibrant yellow if you don't put down a white base for it. So, you do this for things like OSL too. We might build up to where that first layer of orange was the OSL glow on a plasma gun. Think about it like that. And then you do the white and the in between the plasma coils, and then you go back over it with orange again, and now the white or the orange is brighter over the white, because you thin it down more maybe, and you keep going between color and then adding white and then color and then white and then color and then white, and you get a really cool way to build up brightness and glow and effects and such with colors this way. We want the brightest yellow to be right here at the base. Almost like fire, like I was saying. Technically freehanding a little bit just to create the textures, but nothing too dramatic. I like that a lot. And I'm not mixing anything so that it makes it really easy for me to not have to remember what I did. Just grab the color, do it again. Why do you prefer the paintbrush freehand for layering instead of using the airbrush? I use the airbrush a lot. I mean, we do the airbrush for the blues. Why am I not using the airbrush for here? Is because the airbrush keeps too soft of a an application of paint, it looks out of focus, right? Because it blends the edges. This wants to be very abrupt because we're recreating the idea of like the hair like that, right? There's all the in focus lines is very purposeful on the spider, and so that's what we're doing here. Why do you reckon more flat brushes aren't used with mini painting? Because you can't get a flat brush into detail areas. You can do basing with it and dry brushing with it, but that's really it. I use the BAB to apply washes, though. It works great. These paints are the transparents. These are much more highly pigmented than the transparents in a sense that they give you more opacity. So they're kind of between the regular paint line and the transparents in their opacity out of the bottle, but also in the way that they flow. Because what you're going to want them to do is flow like a wash, but be opaque like a paint, or not. Let me rephrase this. There is the chemical properties make it flow over the surface of the model, but leave more pigment behind than a wash. A wash, when you put it on, you want it to draw very little paint at the height and pull most of the pigment to the low spot. So you don't get a huge filter. You can use black wash on a model and start turning it darker, but it won't turn it black. Whereas this paint, you put it on, it also runs and puts more pigment in the low spots, but turns the model black. Right? Its intention is to take the zenithal and turn it into a color and only retrieve the value from the colors underneath of it. Now, I'm using it in a way that is going to use the color underneath of it as well to blend it like a filter. So in that sense, I'm using it like I would use a transparent. And I could be using the transparents here right now for sure. I'm just testing these out. So that's the big reason why you're seeing me use them like any other paint. We're not using them for what they're built for right now. We're using them as a controlled filter. But that's part of the reason that I wanted to build these the way that they are, is so that we could use them as a filter, so that they are more useful to everybody as you grow your skills. Holy moly, that's amazing. I don't want and I don't use contrast paints because they don't actually provide me anything, because I don't paint that way. I would use them all the time if they did better as just filters, right? But they're goopy. They don't stay where you want them to stay. They get blotchy feeling unless you thin the crap out of them. At which point in time, why didn't I just use my regular paint, right? I'm painting this up into the orange and then down into the white area too. The white was less opaque kind of up here at the fringes, so that will make it seem like the yellow and the orange are mixing more. And then of course it's more opaque down here at the front of the leg where I built it up, so it'll get more yellow there. And this yellow in this line is a warm yellow. So if you just put the yellow over the orange, you would not have gotten this vibrant yellow, right? So basing with a white first and then dropping the yellow over the top, always a great way to do it. You can dilute the white and thin the white to where it blends more if you want to have it mix more with the orange beneath in this case. But for me, I think this is exactly what I was going for. And I'm leaving that kind of hairy, even though our spider is not modeled with hair other than at the side of the legs, I'm leaving it on there anyway. And then I want to take some bismuth yellow. Which is just a cooler yellow. Because the warm yellow over the orange is going to leave us with a lot of orangey feel. And then we'll take the bismuth, and the bismuth will allow us to go to that kind of bright shock of yellow that will look good down here. And I'll just keep with that textured style of application that we were using. I can just paint the regular paint right over it immediately. As soon as it's dry to the touch, I don't have to wait. Not going to reactivate. And this I could also paint the white under, but I don't think I need to, and it's doing really well on its own. The bismuth is fairly opaque for a yellow, so I can just kind of run with it. But if you wanted this to be even brighter up against those other orangey yellows and orange backdrop, then you could definitely slap the white underneath the bismuth and do it that way too. Swifter Bear, you have this model? This model's amazeballs. The whole reason I'm painting Conquest is this model. This model got me looking at the whole line again because I was like, wow, that's great. Yeah, I can see that working. Once we get it on the whole model, we'll take a look at it, see if it looks a little bit too much like hot rod flames at the end of the day. And if it does, then we can go back in with like a darker color to make it look like hair. Or we can do a filter over the top of the whole thing if we want to. We could spray this with a filter at the end over the entire body of the model and have it look really cool. But I like that a lot. I think that then with the on the side for him, it's like weird because it's kind of like the blue and yellow. The hairs on the side of the leg on this guy are all sorts of colors. So I wonder if I could just like real quick take some of the white. And again, I'm just using our white primer. Just kind of real quick, almost like a dry brush style here. Rub it over the hairs. Catch a little bit of that detail. And I wonder if I just took a little bit of the let that dry for a minute. Start going so fast because I'm excited to try stuff that I break all the paint. Usually the way I would do it. Yeah, it's for Conquest. Frankie, nothing wrong with hot rod flames. I don't want it to look like a hot rod at the end of the day. Because the blue and the flames, I come from that world, right? So for me, I'm like, oh, this kind of looks like a hot rod. I don't want it to be overly hot roddy. But if I then were to take the secret sauce blue over the top of that, make this real quick to do. Again, it just brightens it up and gives us another hue of blue in there by using the same blue we've been using on the main body, but that's really cool. I like that a lot. Then that's problem solved, right? We just do it with a quick, almost dry brush. We can't dry brush because it's too messy, but we do it with a quick, brush of white, and then just do the special sauce blue along the edges like that. I think that's great. We'll do this other side real quick before I leave. Makes things super easy. Use the side of the brush so you get a little bit of the hair texture picked up, right? Top to bottom, because of following the light. Final needs. Yeah, that whole set is amazing. Joni Brosis? Is this a Brosis? What's going on? Joni, how the hell you doing? I'm painting a big-ass spider with some geishas that sit on its head. So I welcome Raiders. I went and I found this. I thought that would look rad. My spider doesn't have hairy legs, but we'll paint it to where we at least get the colors on there, and then we'll figure out how to make the texture look less like hot rod flames, I was saying, and more like the picture. But I'm really liking the colors. I think we nailed the colors, so off to a good start. Welcome, everyone. We're also testing out some of the new paints we have coming out. Our answer to contrast and speed paints. That's what this is. I'm painting this big beast with new paints in a way that you wouldn't normally find people being able to easily use, and I say easily use contrast, like new painters being able to do this very simply is pretty awesome. Yeah, I think that's good. Just give it a little bit of that bright blue on the hair, and then I can go pick out individual hairs with other colors. On the picture, some of them look like bright pale yellow or something like that, or almost like gray hair. But I think that'll give us a way to have the color pulled out a little bit. Joni, thank you so much. Hope you had a great show. Welcome, everybody. Bloop, yeah, the paint. We did the base in black primer and white zenithal, like you see the geishas here, right? So the spider was done just like this, just our black primer and our white primer to do the zenithal. And then I did the what we're just joking and calling it special sauce, but I did the special sauce blue, the same blue I just used on the hair here, on the spider over the zenithal, and got a really bright blue. And then I made some of the special sauce purple, right? And I sprayed it over the blue, and it got it this really cool ultramarine color that darkened the blue up and moved it a little bit more red. And then we just painted white in a couple of stages and put the orange special sauce and then the yellow special sauce and then bismuth yellow, which is a normally pigmented paint, on there to get the leg coloring going. I'm excited. I think this test has worked well. We'll be able to do some really cool stuff here, I think. That's not going to stick anymore because I took all the poster tack out, so maybe a little bit. We can count to 10 and see if it stays. It's already moving. I can't get the geishas on if I glue this leg on, so that leg has to stay off until we're ready to assemble the whole model. But I'm digging it. I think this will work really well. I think that'll once we get the head and the abdomen painted that way, we'll go back in and kind of refine, because you know the big difference, like I had shown earlier, is that this is hair, so it has very defined lines. But I could go in and do that on here. It's just going to look funky because it looks like a hybrid between a tarantula and a black widow, right? It's got the black widow style hard shell body without a whole lot of hair on it, and but I'm doing the coloring of this guy. That's gonna be rad. It's going to be cool. Lord Cucumber, what did you say? Are you missing? Oh, yeah. Hopefully, yeah, I just answered that. Yeah, they made it to where I thought initially when I did the first geisha, the main one, and I popped it on there, her skirt tails here spread really nice so that you could just pop it over the head because it has these little détentes where it snaps on, and it worked great. Then I put the other geishas on, and that firms all that up to where now it doesn't spread at all. So now I understand why they didn't want you to connect this leg either, but I dry fitted and I can get them on there. I cut one of the nubs off so that it slides on there, hopefully without messing up too much paint. But that'll allow me to paint this whole assembly separate, then we'll drop it on there, then we'll attach the other leg last. But I can paint, now that we've gone through the process, I can paint this leg and feel pretty good about it. I poster tacked it on there so that we could get the main airbrush layers done, so that it matches everything else from a light and shadow perspective, and then I'll paint it up with all of this stuff on it next. And I think it'll be fine. It'll work great. Right. Now, the question I have is, you know, our shadow was that purple. If we come back in and do that same thing with the brush, if I use the purple off the brush to bring my shadow back together over here, that's too much paint. That may be what this needs to bring volumes back on, just right over the fire part, right? I just put that on right over all of our reds and yellows. Yeah, that's what it needs. So it's not just bright everywhere and looks ridiculous. We'll shade all of the yellow and red and stuff with the purple later. That'll work really well. Again, being able to use this color for all sorts of purposes. Because like the underneath of this leg would be fairly shaded. It wouldn't be very bright. So we can just take the purple that we used and put it over the entirety of the red, yellow, and orange, and get our volumes back instantaneously, right? So we drop that value down, but we use the purple that we shaded everything with, and that works like a champ. Same thing with back here. I think you guys and gals are going to love these paints. They allow you to be freewheeling enough to do what you want to do, but you don't have to. Your bravery feels different. It's not asking you to be like, oh my God, I'm going to mess my model up. They work so well. Like just being able to glaze that purple over my orange and my yellow instantaneous. Oh, what did I just do? Where's my thing? Where's my thing? There we go. Like this. I think I can even get closer, right? Yeah, there you go. Right, so looking how I'm being able to glaze the purple straight over the top of all of this and just lightly darken it up to get my volumes back without bringing in a lot of funky textures or anything, right? And smudge blend that with my finger. You can see how well I worked underneath here to knock that bismuth yellow down that was that bright. Yeah, that's going to look amazing. That's going to make that really easy just with those colors. Bloop. Yeah, this is just a piece of tempered glass. This is I don't know what it's called, but you can get them on Amazon. You can just say gray glass palette on Amazon. I don't use a wet palette, so File needs, what is the amp line? That's a line of Pro Acrylic colors that we did with the AMG guys. Their studio, Dallas Kemp, and the studio that does Marvel Crisis Protocol, Star Wars, Shatterpoint, and Legion. They wanted a line of colors that were basically Star Wars colors. So they are mainly the colors of Star Wars. We just couldn't name them like Imperial Red because of licensing. So they're just the amp colors that are made for Star Wars. Travel Cedric, yeah, if you have a small local art store that carries them too. I never found glass palettes at art stores though. Sometimes you can get a smooth cutting mat. They make those cutting mats at like, I mean, hell, you can probably get one in the grocery store, right? They're just glass cutting, or not cutting mats, but cutting boards for fruits and vegetables that are glass and they're smooth and they have rubber feet. You can use those too. They're just clear, right? So put a piece of black construction paper underneath it so you can see your colors. Oh, nice, Travel. Yeah, if they do, great. You could use a bathroom tile, sure. Well, instead of a wet palette, if you put the tile in the freezer and then you take it out, as it warms to room temperature, you'll get moisture buildup and condensation on it, but that's not really a wet palette. But people do that. How detailed are the face sculpts on these? On this one, they're good. I think I would call that good. I'm not mad at this at the detail. It's all hard plastic, and the molds keep details crisp. You look at the fingers and stuff. Stuff doesn't round out as bad as it did on the older sculpts. Now the older sculpts, like this guy, some of the details rounded out a little bit worse, but it still has good crisp lines on it. You can see where I was able to dry brush the armor and get lines back. There was some that was a little soft and where the details kind of run together, but this is the older plastic. So, but it still was good. At the end of the day, hard plastic's better than PVC and crap like that. And then the big guy, this Drake that we've been painting, it's been really good details. Boom, like that, yeah. So nice sharp edges on this. This is the same hard plastic as the Spider was. So they're newer stuff that comes from Poland, I think. And so this has been really good. Nice crisp details on it. I'm happy with them. I love it. I'm gonna continue to be painting them up. Oh, show. Nice bloop. There's weirdness to the Conquest paint jobs, I'm not gonna lie. Like on the dwarves, the Dwegom, it's like there's a lot of the models that have a real heavy texture to the metallic. And they use a combination of metallic and non-metallic styles on there, and they use really heavy brushstrokes that give it a, like I would for creating texture, like you're making hair or scratches and stuff. And the armor like has it all over it, and you lose the detail. It gets fuzzy visually in the pictures because they got so many brushstrokes going on. So I think for showing off their models, they don't do the best job. But everything I've seen so far has been really cool. Rattlecan, I made zoom possible. Oh yeah, and like Joshua says, if you're using the tiles and you want them to have the condensation, I mean, you'll get condensation on any tile, but it's much better on a gloss tile. Ryan, you're gonna make me act up and get some conquest. I have 4 armies, so I'm not impervious to this. I have lots. I'm very excited about all of them. I'm really excited about like these guys. They probably suck, but the Jin are really cool. And I got a Freets. So I've got like the wind ones and the fire ones. I think I have fire ones. I have a big bird. Because this thing's rad. It's a huge bird. with swords. I'm stoked to paint this one. I'll never get any of these finished. Army-wise, that is. Because there's just too many cool things. Yeah, so we have cool things. This is the 2026, the year of painting multiple armies. Right. Won't happen. But I got good intentions. You think Zinch when you see that? It kind of has that feel. It's got like 6 wings. Shinjo, Sorcerer Kings are very good. I went rule of cool. I was like, I like these, and I like these, and I like these, and I like these. I don't know. On some of them, I just went into the army builder and I put together stuff that I put all the cool stuff in there where it would fit and made it to where it was right for the kind of commander you have to have for the unit. So it all checked out, no exclamation points. Got to 2,000 points, and with all the stuff I thought looked the coolest, and then I bought that. So I don't know if any of it's any good, but I'm gonna have the coolest looking armies. How do these minis compare to Infinity? I mean, they're totally different in terms of detailing, because Infinity is a lot of really hard edges and armor plating and things like this, and these are a lot more organic, right? They're bigger scale, right? So get that this is a dwarf, a dwegom, and the dwarves in this world are the same as any other. They're shorter than normal humans, but the scale is 38 millimeters, so the short dwarves are as big as Primaris Marines. They're like Terminator size, right? So the models are bigger, which I like. I like the scale being bigger. It gives me, I can get more to paint, right? You don't have little bitty fiddly models, which is nice. Whereas Infinity is like trying to be realistic scaling, so their small models are fiddly. I've painted and played a ton of Infinity in the past, and it's a great game. But as a game-wise, this, obviously a fantasy rank and flank game. Everything goes on square bases, right? So even the big spider goes on a square regiment base. And so it's, if you get charged in the side, you get flanked, you get lower defense and all that kind of stuff. So, oh my God. Where do these people come from? Later. See you, nerd. The Trin of Archa is probably your favorite model in existence. Disgrace Fear. It's so good, right? That's what that thing was, right? The bird. It's so amazing. The big cat though is good too. The Rakshasa. So I have the Rakshasa. That might be the next one we build and start painting. I got to finish these though. I've got the Drake that I got to do, and I got the spider. I'm really loving the vibrant colors. I'm hoping that I can do the whole of the Yoroni army in vibrant colors and only use my desaturated colors on the terrain. So I'll do my kind of more realism desaturated coloring on the terrain, and I'm gonna spruce everything up and have the demons themselves be very vibrant, like their otherworldly vibrancy, as opposed to what I normally paint, and then just keep the dirt and the arch and all that stuff in my normal style. The Fallen Divinity model is amazing, Ryan Scurry. Jordan painted that up on stream a couple years back. Super Duper John, you have still yet to play a single game of any war game. Tons of models and even some fully painted squads. That's awesome. You don't ever have to play. Just paint. They're great. I'm at 200 colors now? No, I'm not. We're at 140 something. 147? We don't have 200 colors. We'll be at 200 colors. 196 in the main rack, or 192? 192 will fit in the main rack, and then we'll put another shelf on it because it can take one more shelf. So, yeah. The communities out here aren't that great. Yeah, that's all something where, sometimes you got to figure out your own and make your own community and all that kind of stuff, but I get you on that. It's hard, for sure. All right, gang, that's it for me. Let me, I'll go switch to the other seat and we'll raid somebody. We got a big crowd. Hang on. Hold, please. Jen and I have dinner plans. So, oh, what can I do here? Can I close that and I can go producer Pacao? Oh, what? It didn't come on. Why not? What's the deal? Oh, because the camera's not on. I don't know how to turn that camera on, so you can't see my face when I'm over here. Sorry. Sorry, Charlie. Let's find out who's on. I will be disembodied voice while I figure out who else is on the Twitcherinos to do a little raid with. Anybody on that we know and love? Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Okay, following. Monster Den Minis. Monster Den Minis. Yeah, thanks everybody for hanging out with me. Sorry, I'm a disembodied voice as I sit over here at Chris's spot, but I don't know how to turn on his damn face cam. So we're gonna raid. Oh, how do I do that? Oh, do I do it in this chat? Sorry, hang on. Hold please. I have to do it over here, right? You guys can't see what I'm doing, and I'm like, hey, well, how do I do this? Monster Den Minis is all one word. We're going to raid Monster Den, so go over there, show some love. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you're new around here and came through on one of the raids, please click the like or follow button. We do this Monday through Friday generally, but on the weekends, sometimes I get a crazy hair at my butt and do a sneaky stream like this where you can come and hang out and talk nonsense with me. But Monday through Friday, it's all business, serious business, as Chris likes to say, and I have a producer so we don't miss anything else, which is nice. But please, come back and hang out with us. We'd love to see you. So we're going to raid Monster Den. Check out monumenthobbies.com. Oh, my God. Literally, what is this guy? Eat a satchel of Richards. All the kick nerds. So thank you so much. Have a great night. Go show some love in the chat for Monster Den Minis. And we'll see you back here on Monday. I'm probably not streaming tomorrow. There probably won't be anything sneaky tomorrow. But on Monday, we'll be back with the regular scheduled program. So we'll see you then. All right? Later, gang.